Today we're going to be drawing George Rodrigues' Blue Dog. Now, whenever you draw this today, there might be parts that you have to erase and try a couple times, and that's okay. You can do a couple practice sketches before you move on to your nice paper of drawing your dog, but think about, as you're doing this, the things that you maybe could refine or clean up a little bit once you draw the basic shapes. So that might be adding a fur texture, or maybe as you go along, kind of be considering what you could add to make your blue dog unique. So for example, this one has these cowboy boots, there's a bandana, and a cowboy hat, and the background even adds to the whole cowboy effect overall. So just be thinking about what your blue dog might be becoming at the end of your drawing. So in your Google Classroom, you have this how-to helper handout drawing sheet. So you can follow along with this, and this just gives you basic shapes to draw to add to make your dog, and then you can use those to kind of create different textures or refine those a little bit to make them more detailed, and I'll explain that as we go along. So as you can see here, there is a line that goes down the middle and through the middle of your paper. This is just a guide, so you do not need to draw this on your paper unless you're doing a sketch and you want it to kind of help you see where things go and get laid out. But what you can also do is fold your paper. So I'm just using a piece of copy paper here, or free draw paper, and you can use a piece of notebook paper for practice if you'd like. So this is just to kind of get the feel for the way the dog gets drawn. So then you can see our line going through the middle and across the middle like that. The first thing is going to be to draw a circle for its head. Now, it's okay if your circle is not a perfect circle. So if you just want to kind of sketch it on yourself, or I'm going to trace this container of wipes so that I can get a good start. Now at school we will have a stencil or a template to draw your head with. But you could use a cup that's flipped over, or something else that is a circle shape. So just be mindful that doesn't have to be a perfect circle. But when you draw it, you'll see that it goes kind of right above that halfway line. So I drew mine just a little bit above that halfway mark there. The next step is going to be to start the snout with an upside down U. Now I'm going to draw this on lightly, but I like to make my snout kind of go all the way up to the top of my blue dog's head, like that. So then he kind of gets this like white strip going down his middle here. The next step is going to be to finish drawing the bottom of the snout, and that's kind of like an egg shape, but it goes all the way to that middle dividing line there. So it's going to go outside of your circle a little bit. So you kind of just have that shape in there. Step 4 is to erase this line right here. So that's really important because you need to remember to draw light until you get it right, because there might be things that you need to erase and try again, or erase to maybe clean up a little bit. So don't draw too hard when you do this because you can outline it later. So we'll add a nose. I like to do kind of like a wavy line through mine to kind of make it look like its little lips are pushed together. And then you can also kind of clean up this bottom here so it looks like it has a little bottom lip. And then just erase kind of those little corners. I like to draw kind of a wavy little rectangle blob shape there for his nose, and then you can add the eyes. Now Blue Dog has kind of these beady circle eyes here, so I'm just going to draw 2 circles. And as you're doing this, if you want your dog to have some different features, like maybe you want it to have cute eyes or eyelashes, you can do that. As we're going through, maybe you want your dog to have floppy ears instead, and you can do that too. So don't be afraid to make your dog unique if you want it to look a little bit different than the just regular blue dog. The next thing is to draw 2 ears. So these are just going to be 2 triangles. I'm going to kind of start mine here where my line is at the top of my head. Kind of do 2 triangles like that, going off the side. They don't have to be perfectly even. And again, they can be a different shape if you want them rounded or if you want them to be kind of floppy, sticking off its head, however you want to do it. And then, before we move on to the body, I like to give this part a little bit of texture. So kind of like a wavy, almost looks like little Christmas trees on the top there. Kind of like little furriness. Can even go down the side of his face, just so he has a little bit of texture instead of that perfect circle. You can even go, whoops, can even go across the top there. So he gets a little something more than just that perfect circle line. So now is the body. So down here you can see where these legs kind of curve a little bit, and those are they're great, but they're a little difficult to make. So what I'm going to suggest is to look at where your lines are going to start for your legs. So they're kind of here on the side of his head, and I like to make lines that go kind of straight down. And then later I'll show you how to curve these to make it a little bit easier than trying to focus on just getting that curve perfect. So I'm going to add its little legs, or its little feet here, and notice that they just kind of curve around, nice and simple. You can add different little paws or claws if you want to yours, and then they just go about halfway up the front of your blue dog. So just go right like that. Okay, from here, when you make this curve, you can see that you're going to just kind of go gently out by that halfway line. So I'm going to just kind of do a little jut out like that. And then you can erase that straight line. So I know that these kind of look a little bit uneven, but I'm not going to let that bother me, because once you add all this other stuff to your drawing and your dog, you're not even going to notice those. The last part are the back legs, and I think that these are usually the most challenging part, because they can look kind of like your dog is sitting on a hardwood floor and its back legs are sliding out from behind it. So whenever you do these, kind of look at where its leg comes out of the side. So right above its little angle there. So we'll make just a little slanted line. And what we're going to do is just look at how high that leg goes. So it kind of comes out right on that curve there. So we'll add those lines there, just as kind of a little eyeball for ourselves. Now the trick to this is keeping this leg close to the body, because sometimes the thing that I notice most is people will kind of stick it out like that, and then your leg just looks that much bigger and balloonier behind your body. So when you keep it closer to the body like that, kind of round out its foot there, then it stays a little more tight, a little more closer into that body there, and it doesn't look like it's sliding out from behind. So we'll go down like that, give it its little leg there, so then we get something like that. Then we need to add its little belly line there. So we kind of get our dog like that, looking good, and then you can add a little whippy tail if you want to, or if you wanted to have a different kind of tail, you can add that in too. So that is going to be your blue dog, and then from here you would just think about all the things that you could do to make it unique. So maybe if you want to add boots to it, or other fun shoes, or if there's an outfit that you like to wear, or maybe if there is, a hair bow or something that you wear that you could always, add to the top by its ears. Maybe you could make it your eye color, or if you have glasses, maybe you could put glasses on your dog. So let's see what else, a jersey with a number, maybe your favorite player. But in addition to your dog, you can also think about your background. So maybe where your dog is going to be sitting. So this dog obviously is more of a desert theme, but if yours is playing basketball or football, maybe you have a goalpost behind you, or maybe your ground level looks like grass. So think about all those things that you can do to make your blue dog unique.